Also, during interviews, you never want to make promises like you're going to be employed for X period of time or we're going to give you a certain pay rate. You don't want to make promises that you might not fulfill because they may try to say you have an oral contract. And finally, dealing with setting, you want to make sure that it's done in the right place and in, a professional environment. So, somebody, for instance, you wouldn't want to do it over drinks unless that's really necessary because they could claim there's some sort of harassment going on or if there's different genders of the applicant and the interviewer. Background checks, I am a huge fan of these. You certainly want to know whether or not somebody's got a criminal background. You want to know about their past employers and possibly their education, DMV record, references. Again, all of these things can be important other than workers' comp history. What you need to keep in mind is there are legal restrictions on what you do if you use a third party. I can't get into, in our short time together, all of the different issues, but just keep these in mind when you go to hire somebody, that if you use a third party, there are restrictions on what you do. I highly recommend you do at least check out somebody's criminal background because under Florida law, there's protections against negligence cases if you show that you have properly vetted somebody. Firing. Now, the biggest catalyst for lawsuits obviously is terminations. Not many people are very good at this. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes doing it. Well, maybe one or two people do, but most people don't like terminating someone. The biggest mistakes I see people make is not giving somebody the honest reason or a reason at all that they're being terminated. A lot of y'all have probably, if you had a relationship go south, you think the easy way to get out of it, for instance, if you're dating someone who's telling them it's not you, it's me. Well, that's normally not the case. It's almost always them. If you don't give somebody a reason why they're terminated, they'll typically make up their own reason. And normally that reason is not going to inure to your benefit. So always give somebody a reason they're being terminated. Also make sure it's the honest reason. I run into a lot of employers that tell everybody they've been laid off when actually they haven't been laid off. They were fired for a reason. I think, A, it's the moral thing to do to tell somebody why they're being let go. But B, it's the legal thing to do. It's the legally right thing to do. Because if you give them a false reason or a reason you can't support, that will come back to haunt you in litigation. To lower the risk of having an improper termination is you have to train your supervisors. I will tell you, properly terminating somebody is a true skill set. And most people that are in operations or sales just aren't very good at it. So you want to make sure that you've properly trained your supervisors on how to do it. Also, you want to make sure that a progressive discipline system has been followed. Unless somebody's an owner of the company, I normally recommend don't allow a termination unless an independent person, whether it be human resources or the CFO or someone else in management, has reviewed the termination to have a fresh set of eyes and make sure that you all are following your policies and are in place and that you're being consistent. Progressive discipline systems are good. They're ones where, first time I'll slap you on the wrist and give you a verbal warning. Next time you get a written warning, and third time you get suspended or terminated. Obviously you want to give yourself an out if somebody does something heinous enough to get them fired on the first time. But following a progressive discipline system is a good thing. Jurors view these as fair. I've never run into an employee who agrees with their termination, but you don't want the employee to say, oh, I was never warned, or this is a complete surprise. There should never be a surprise termination unless it's a layoff. Obviously, that might come as a surprise. I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Up in the Air, but if you want to see all the wrong ways to terminate somebody, watch that movie because all of those people seem to be utterly surprised about the termination. And I will tell you, jurors would have a field day with the way George Clooney was getting rid of people. Also, when terminating, make sure you have documents in place. That's the first thing I ask clients when they ask me if they should get rid of somebody. What's the documentation show? If you tell me you're going to terminate somebody because of absenteeism and then you send me their evaluation and they've been getting all fives, then you've got a problem because the documents don't match what you're telling me. So you want to make sure that if somebody's going to be terminated, you show the path that led to that fateful day for them. Before making any termination decision, again, I would have a second independent party look at it and make sure you thoroughly investigate it. Don't make quick decisions. And I normally don't allow, people to make split-second decisions. I would either temporarily suspend somebody or at least give it a day to figure out, if you're making the right decision. Also, you want to make sure you review the policies in your handbook. A lot of people will ask for their personnel file while they're being terminated or when they leave. You want to make sure that you can specifically quote something in your policy manual or handbook that shows why you're letting them go or what policy they violated. Also, at least in Florida, you're not required to give them their personnel file. I normally recommend that employers give somebody an opportunity to review it at a mutually agreeable time because I don't want the employee to claim that we're hiding something from them. And you also want to make sure you're comparing discipline to similarly situated employees. For instance, if you terminate all females for absenteeism, but you let your star Bob get away with it, then you could have a real problem. So you want to make sure you're being consistent. Even if you're being a consistent jerk or very consistently tough on people, you want to make sure that you're consistent in your decisions. Again, suspending an employee pending an investigation is good. You also want to keep in mind the employee's psychological needs. Normally, the most traumatic thing people ever go through is a termination. Some of my recommendations when letting people go is letting them leave with dignity. What I mean by that is tell them the real reason they're being let go. If possible, and you don't think it would be a huge disruption, let them go gather their things and compose themselves. When you just escort them out the back door or embarrass them, they very well may be vengeful against you. So be concerned about that because normally people sue you because they're mad at you. They're going to be mad at you if you let them go no matter what, but you want to minimize that as much as possible. Also, termination should always be done by two people. Not one because you want somebody that can corroborate what is said, and not three because that looks like you're ganging up on somebody. So I think it's important to have two people involved in it. Some people allow employees to resign or offer them a separation or severance package. I'm okay with allowing employees to resign. You may get yourself into a debate about that, though, when it comes to unemployment, because if they resign, you might run into a situation where they're going to still try to get unemployment benefits. Also, if they later sue you, you may be singing a different tune. So I don't have great feelings about allowing somebody to resign. And I will tell you, a lot of people are in the misconception that allowing somebody to resign is going to save you from litigation. That's not true at all. They every bit as much can still sue you. If you're ever going to offer somebody money at time of termination, please listen to me on this. Do not offer anyone money unless they sign what's called a general release. I can't get into all of the different things that go into a general release, but you don't want to give somebody enough money to go hire an attorney. And if they won't sign a release, that means they're going to sue you, and you're probably going to be very mad you offered them anything. So if you're going to offer people money, I recommend using a release. I think releases are a great tool to sort of have peace of mind that, they've gone away and they won't be coming back after you. Also, I recommend contacting your attorney, CYA. It doesn't mean the other possible definition of CYA, but make sure that you're making the lawful decisions and you've truly thought things through because you don't want to end up in litigation because it's very costly. Now let's talk about the steps you go through when you actually terminate somebody. First, you want to script the meeting. My recommendation is to keep meetings short, professional. You don't want to get into a debate about whether or not you should hire somebody. A lot of people will beg and plead for their job or wanted to get into a debate about whether or not this is the right time to terminate them. What I recommend managers tell somebody is, listen, the decision's been made. Let's talk about moving ahead. But you want to go in there and have a script and determine who's going to say what going in. I would make sure that you conduct a proper discipline discharge meeting. Plan out what you're going to do in the meeting beforehand so it can go as planned. Things may occur that you never expected, but you want to be as ready as possible for what could happen in the meeting, and you may even want to rehearse it